The Whispered Secret, the day J.D. Vance shook the Vatican. On a crisp Easter Sunday morning, April 20th, 2025, the eternal city of Rome buzzed with the solemn joy of the resurrection. St. Peter's Square was awash with pilgrims, their voices rising in a harmonious chant of Alleluia. Amid this sacred fervor, Vice President J.D. Vance, the firebrand Ohio senator turned second in command of the United States, arrived at the Vatican for a private audience with Pope Francis. What transpired in those hallowed halls would become the stuff of legend, a tale so shocking it would ripple through the Catholic Church and the world beyond, culminating in a tragedy that no one could have foreseen: the sudden death of the pontiff himself. The prelude, a controversial visitor, J.D. Vance's visit to the Vatican was already steeped in controversy. Known for his sharp rhetoric and unapologetic conservatism, Vance had risen to prominence as a voice for America's heartland, championing traditional values while railing against what he called the globalist elite. His memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, had made him a household name, but his transformation into a populist firebrand and loyal ally of President Donald Trump had polarized the nation. To some, he was a defender of faith and family; to others, a dangerous provocateur. The Vatican, under Pope Francis, had taken a markedly different path. The Argentine pontiff, known for his progressive stances on climate change, immigration, and economic justice, had often clashed with conservative leaders worldwide. His calls for mercy and inclusivity had won him adoration among liberals, but criticism from traditionalists, who accused him of diluting Catholic doctrine. When news broke that Vance, a Catholic convert with a penchant for challenging liberal orthodoxy, would meet the Pope, speculation ran wild. Would this be a clash of titans or a moment of reconciliation? Vance's trip was officially described as a diplomatic courtesy, part of a broader European tour to strengthen ties with allies. He had attended Easter Mass at St. Peter's Basilica, where he was seen praying fervently, his wife Usha and their 3 children by his side. The Vatican had extended an invitation for a brief audience, a standard gesture for visiting dignitaries. Yet, whispers in the Roman Curia suggested that Francis, ever the pastor, saw an opportunity to engage a polarizing figure in dialogue. Little did anyone know that this meeting would end in catastrophe. The audience, a cordial facade. At precisely 10:30 a.m., Vance was ushered into the Apostolic Palace, a labyrinth of frescoed corridors and sacred relics. The meeting took place in the Pope's private library, a room adorned with gilded bookshelves and a simple wooden desk. Pope Francis, frail but alert at 88, greeted Vance warmly, his eyes twinkling with the charisma that had endeared him to millions. Vance, dressed in a somber navy suit, bowed slightly and thanked the Holy Father for the audience. According to Vatican aides, the initial exchange was polite, even jovial. "Thank you for seeing me, Your Holiness," Vance said, his Appalachian drawl softened by deference. "I know you've not been feeling great, but it's good to see you in better health." Francis, who had been battling respiratory issues, smiled and waved off the concern. "God gives me strength," he replied in his accented English. He handed Vance a small basket of chocolate Easter eggs for his children, a Vatican tie, and a set of rosaries blessed during the Easter Vigil. Vance, in turn, presented the Pope with a leather-bound copy of the Confessions by St. Augustine, inscribed with a personal note, "To a shepherd of souls, from a humble servant of the American people." For the first few minutes, the conversation adhered to diplomatic niceties. They discussed the importance of family, the challenges facing young Catholics, and the need for peace in a world torn by conflict. Vatican stenographers noted that Vance spoke passionately about his conversion to Catholicism in 2019, describing it as a homecoming, that grounded his political mission. Francis nodded approvingly, emphasizing the church's role in fostering hope amid division. But as the meeting stretched beyond its allotted 15 minutes, the tone shifted. Witnesses later reported that Vance's demeanor grew intense, his voice dropping to a near whisper. The Pope, usually animated, leaned forward, his face betraying a mix of curiosity and unease. What Vance said next would become the subject of fevered speculation, a secret so explosive it would be blamed for the pontiff's demise. The whispered secret. No official transcript of the private conversation exists, but fragments of the story have leaked through Vatican insiders, diplomatic channels, and controversially posts on X, where conspiracy theories flourished in the days following the tragedy. Piecing together these accounts, a narrative emerges, one that is equal parts credible and incendiary. According to a senior cardinal who spoke anonymously, Vance began by addressing the Church's role in the modern world. He praised Francis for his pastoral heart, but argued that the Church was losing its moral authority by aligning with progressive causes. "Your Holiness," Vance reportedly said, "the faithful are crying out for clarity. They see a church that bends to the winds of secularism, that embraces ideologies incompatible with the gospel." "Your Holiness, it is an honor beyond words to be here," Vance began, his voice steady but tinged with the soft drawl of his Ohio upbringing. "Of course, thank you for seeing me, especially on this most holy of days. The hospitality of the Vatican, the warmth of your welcome, it's something my family and I will carry with us always." His words were deliberate, reflecting not only diplomatic protocol, but also a genuine appreciation for the moment. He glanced briefly at his wife, Usha, who stood discreetly near the doorway with their 3 children, their presence a quiet testament to the family values Vance so often championed. Pope Francis nodded, his smile widening as he gestured toward a chair. "My son, it is a joy to meet you," he replied in his accented English, his voice gentle yet resonant. "Easter is a time of hope, of new life. I am glad you are here to share in this moment." The Pope's words, simple yet profound, set a tone of camaraderie, bridging the gap between the pontiff's global mission and Vance's deeply American perspective. Vance settled into the chair, his posture attentive yet relaxed, as if he were sitting across from a beloved mentor rather than the leader of the world's 1.4 billion Catholics. He leaned forward slightly, his hands clasped, and continued, "Your Holiness, I've followed your recovery with great concern and even greater hope. I know you have not been feeling great. Your health has been a worry for so many of us. But seeing you today with such strength and spirit, it's a blessing. It's good to see you in better health, truly. It reminds us all that God's grace is ever present, even in our trials." His remark was not mere flattery. It carried the weight of sincerity. Francis had faced a series of health challenges in recent years, including respiratory infections and mobility issues, which had sparked global prayers and speculation about the future of his papacy. Vance's acknowledgement of this was both personal and pastoral, reflecting his own journey as a Catholic convert who had found solace in the Church's teachings during times of personal and political turmoil. The Pope, visibly touched, waved a hand dismissively, though his eyes betrayed a flicker of gratitude. "God gives me strength," Francis said softly, "and the prayers of the faithful, they carry me." The exchange deepened as Vance, emboldened by the Pope's warmth, allowed his words to take on a more intimate tone. "Your Holiness," he said, his voice lowering with reverence, "I want you to know that I pray for you every day. My family, we gather each evening, and your name is always in our intentions. We ask for your strength, your wisdom, and for God's light to guide you as you lead His church. Your mission, it's not just for Catholics, but for the world, and I know it's not an easy one." He paused, his gaze steady, as if to underscore the weight of his commitment. "I pray for you not just as the Holy Father, but as a man who carries a cross heavier than most can imagine, and so from my heart to yours, I say, God bless you. May He keep you, protect you, and give you the courage to continue this work." The words, delivered with a quiet intensity, seemed to hang in the air, a bridge between the personal and the universal, the temporal and the eternal. Francis, known for his ability to connect with people from all walks of life, leaned forward, his hands folded on the desk. "Your prayers, they mean more than you know," he replied, his voice thick with emotion. "And I, too, pray for you, for your family, for your nation. We are all called to be instruments of peace, are we not?" The Pope's words, though simple, carried a challenge, a reminder of the shared responsibility to uphold faith and justice in a fractured world. As the conversation unfolded, Vance seized the moment to express further gratitude, weaving in reflections that revealed the depth of his faith and his admiration for the Church's enduring presence. "Your Holiness, I've always believed that the Church is a beacon, a rock in a stormy sea," he said, his tone earnest. "Growing up, I saw hardship, poverty, addiction, broken families. It was the Church, through its teachings and its people, that showed me there was something bigger, something worth fighting for. And here, in this place, I feel that truth more than ever. Thank you for stewarding that legacy, for being a voice for those who feel forgotten." He gestured subtly toward the window, where the distant hum of pilgrims in St. Peter's Square could be heard. "Those people out there, they look to you, and I know it's a burden, but it's also a gift. My family and I, we're just one small part of that flock, but we're grateful to be here, to witness this moment of renewal on Easter. Your hospitality, this chance to speak with you, it's a memory we'll cherish forever." The Pope, ever the pastor, responded with a gift of his own. A small basket of chocolate Easter eggs crafted by Italian artisans for Vance's children, a Vatican tie emblazoned with the papal crest, and a set of rosaries, each bead blessed during the Easter vigil. "For your little ones," Francis said with a chuckle, "and for you, to remind you of this day." Vance accepted the gifts with a broad smile, his fingers brushing the rosaries as if to absorb their sacredness. "These will be treasures in our home," he said. "My kids will probably fight over the chocolate, but the rosaries, they'll be a reminder of this moment, of your kindness." The aftermath, a pontiff's collapse. The meeting ended abruptly. Vance was escorted out, his face impassive, while Francis remained in the library, clutching the dossier. Aides found him minutes later, slumped in his chair, his breathing shallow. A doctor was summoned, but despite efforts to revive him, Pope Francis was pronounced dead at 11:47 a.m. The official cause of death was listed as heart failure, attributed to his advanced age and chronic health issues. But the timing, mere minutes after Vance's departure, ignited a firestorm of suspicion. News of the Pope's death spread like wildfire. In St. Peter's Square, pilgrims wept openly while cardinals scrambled to convene the conclave. The Vatican press office issued a statement mourning the loss of a beloved shepherd, but offered no details about the Vance meeting. This silence only fueled speculation, particularly on X, where users posted cryptic messages about a Vatican cover-up and Vance's deadly truth. Within hours, theories emerged. Some claimed Vance had revealed evidence of a pedophile ring within the Church, a scandal so devastating it overwhelmed the Pope's fragile heart. Others suggested the dossier contained proof of extraterrestrial contact, suppressed by the Vatican for centuries, which Francis could not bear to confront. The most outlandish theory posited that Vance had delivered a prophetic warning from American evangelicals foretelling divine judgment on a heretical papacy. More grounded accounts, however, focused on the dossier's alleged contents. Investigative journalists, citing leaks from Vatican whistleblowers, reported that the documents detailed illicit financial transactions linked to the Institute for the Works of Religion, the Vatican Bank, implicating figures close to Francis. Others pointed to Vance's known skepticism of global institutions, suggesting he had accused the Pope of complicity in a technocratic plot to erode national sovereignty. Whatever the truth, the dossier vanished, reportedly locked away in the Vatican's secret archives. The fallout